You're welcome to my YouTube channel, Lolina.Decor.Elements, and my name is Nadia, and I'm your host here. This is my YouTube universe. This is my YouTube channel where I'm talking about knitting and other craft I'm doing by my hands. This is a first episode. It's going to be in English for my followers who cannot follow me anymore because I've changed the language of my typical weekly done recordings. But I hope that my episodes in English will also bring a new followers, a new audience to my channel as well. So you're welcome. As you understood, I am not a new one in the knitting world of YouTube. I've been doing recording 1 year and almost month, around 2 weeks. This month, this is January still. This month, 13th of January, I was celebrating the 1 year of my channel here in YouTube, and I've promised to my followers that because of the changing of the language of my typical recording, I will also add English. So here you are. the January almost gone. It is kind of just 1 day left tomorrow, and then it's going to be February. So it's better to catch the last carriage of the train than miss a train, right? So as I said, my name is Nadia. Since it's a first episode in English, let me introduce myself a bit wider. I'm interior designer and landscape designer. I'm originally from Ukraine, from Kiev, and because of the war I fled my country in March. I spent some time in Latvia, in a beautiful, very calm and very peaceful country, where I just kind of strengthened my wings and felt a bit better about me, about leaving all my life, let's say, behind, and my family as well at home. And then I was invited here in London to do my scientific research, and since the end of May I'm here. I was leaving for 4 months with my British family. I know Philippa gonna watch it. Philippa, hello, and thank you so much for giving me not only house to live but home. And starting with the October, I moved closer to my work. I work in Senate House in London, in Institute of Historical Research, where I do my scientific study of street art, because I'm keen of very fragile, very bright, very provocative street art that we can see on our streets and lose very easy. So this is kind of about me. A few more things probably. I mean private. I'm married. My husband's still in Ukraine, in Kiev, with my lovely cat. And because of many bureaucratic obligations and kind of quarantine period for 3 months and so on for animals to bring them here to the UK, and because I live in a flat where it's not possible to have pets, so it's not pet friendly, it was a quite harsh decision, but we done it in our family and we decided to keep cat at home. So I'm kind of alone here, but I have my knitting. So probably that's all you have to know about me personally. If you've got some questions, if you want to know more about me, just feel free to ask in comments below. But let's talk about knitting. I do knitting for less than 2 years. I love it. I have never done it in my childhood. I was mostly drawing, painting, and sometimes I did embroidery, but not so often. I was quite busy. I've been to professional sports, and I had my art classes 2 or 3 times a week. I've been dancing, I've been studying languages, so I was quite busy to do knitting. But then in 2011 I moved to Norway for my master degree, and there, because I don't know how Norwegians they are survive in this kind of less time a day, but it's kind of, you woke up in evening because it's dark outside, then you have like 4, 6, 5 hours a light day, and then again you have evening that goes to night. I was living in Rauland. It is a Telemark region with a lot of traditional architecture, with a huge respect to traditions, to folk art, and I've been studying their folk arts in folk culture, and I did my master there. And there I realized that I have plenty of time, because in Kiev, before moving to Norway for studying, I was working in 2 universities with students. I've been doing many interior projects, like huge houses and cottages and big flats at the same time. So I was busy as a bee. And then I moved to Norway, where I have studying sports, because I've enjoyed skiing there, and kind of nothing else. And I started to knit there, but I haven't been doing it a lot. I just did, I think, 1 plaid, I did few hats or something like that, and that's it. And then I came back home, I had my normal busy life, and then 4 years ago, a bit more, I started to work in the University of Economics Law, and I was a chief of the design department there, and that time was quite stressful for me, especially when you go through all commissions that give you license to work, then they give you license to give diplomas. Accreditation is, if someone in pedagogy, you probably know what I'm talking about. So it was quite stressful. So 2 years ago I started to knit, and I've started to knit quite badly and quite wildly, because my yarn stash started to be enormous, and I'm still fighting with the desire to buy yarn. But I kind of, because I moved here, I brought a lot of yarn with me, and right now I think I have to perceive this time living here, not in my home, like a time when I have learned how to use the yarn that I have. You know what I mean? Yeah, probably if you are a knitter, you know what is that. Buying yarn, it's kind of illness. So sorry, or addiction. Let's be more, not so brutal. So, and this year I decided to fight with this addiction. So I'm trying to use yarn only that I have with me, and sometimes I do buy some, but because I'm buying it mostly in Ukrainian shops, that yarn comes to my home, not here directly. So anyway, I've got a feeling that English speaking YouTube about knitting, it's a bit different from something that Ukrainian speaking and Russian speaking knitters do. I'd love to explain that my typical episodes that I'm doing, because every week I do my week in knitting. I have my episodes, I still will have them, so I'm planning to do it as long as I have my YouTube channel. So it means that my episodes in Ukrainian language that I do every week, it's like I'm recording every day my process of knitting. So there are plenty of information about yarn, about my tension, about my intention, about my process. And of course I'm showing there my results and my ready garments and my ready objects and so on and so on. But mostly it is about process as well, because I'm here and because I do love traveling. Sometimes in my Ukrainian episodes I do include some traveling or some going and watching London or other places I am in, and it is kind of knitting lifestyle. And what I understood, that English speaking knitters, or broadcasters, they mostly have kind of typical pattern of their podcasts. So they show their ready objects, then they show their whips, then they show their plans or swatches, and then they show their acquisitions. So it's kind of typical, and I will try to stick to that. So then my episodes in English gonna be interesting for my Ukrainian speaking followers who do understand English, and it's gonna be different content, because kind of doing the same thing in two languages is gonna be not so fun for me as well, and I'm all about fun. So let's start with ready objects, finished object, and I will start with this sweater, because I've been in testing group. We've been testing this pattern for 3 weeks, I think. It is a pattern that's called Lubava sweater. All information such kind of I will put in description below, so you can go there, and I will add the link to Natali Aksyonova. Sorry. Natali is Ukrainian. Always come back. So Natali, the author of this pattern, she's Ukrainian as me, and she has her Ravelry account, and as I understood, you may find this pattern in Ukrainian, in English there. So I will leave the link below. So this is the sweater we've been testing. Mine is very, very furry, very, with this huge halo of mohair on silk, and I mixed here a lot of yarn, and I do feel, as designer, I do feel the tendencies, and I do understand that there is a tendency right now to mix different kind of yarn to have this melange or mixing effect. I do love it. Let me take it from the holder so I can show it maybe closer. So I don't know, are you gonna see that or not? So this sweater, it has Japanese shoulder, so it was knitted from top to down. So first you need the back of your sweater, then you kind of increase the stitches here, and you start to knit the front part. Then we have very funny details here on the ribbon and down on the ends of your garment. And then I had a huge problem with yarn, so I was run out of mohair on silk with this shiny lurex, because unfortunately I had only 100 gram on cone, and I thought it's 200 gram, whatever, it's me. Like, you're buying 100 gram and you're writing in your notes 200 grams, very fun. So I add another kind of mohair. I bought Rico design 2 balls, 25 grams each, and I still have, so this is the leftovers of my mohair with lurex that I have, and this is my small leftovers from the white mohair of Rico design I bought to finish the sleeves. As well, I bought very nice lyrics in a very nice, lovely shop here in London. It's called Loop, and I love this shop. It's kind of box with surprises, so you never know what you're gonna find them. So I found very nice metal thread, so I added and kind of received the change for this mohair. And since I was also run out of this palette, I was mixing it with the different shades, and I have this accent on my sleeves. So hopefully today I will do photos, because I need to provide our I was actually planning to do my recording last week, but I was a bit sick, so I had a cold, so kind of missed that opportunity. So I do recording today because it's almost the last day of month. And anyway, this sweater, the weight is 540 grams altogether. So the main thread that I used, it was woolly whirl of the scapis, and I used so this is the ribbon, and I've used the color 477 blue gum center. So it was very fine gradient between dark gray and light, a bit greenish gray. What I have as leftover, oh, this is the second leftover of white mohair. So this is the rest of this mine yarn I used. So this is the inside part of the yarn. So, and it is very nice yarn. I do recommend it because it's a blend of 30% of wool and 70% of cotton. So it's nice blend, it's natural, and I love the shades, and I love another one of those. I'm thinking about buying it, but not this year. No. And as additional one, because it's only in this cake, it's only 1000 meters, so it's 220 grams around. And because I knew that it won't be enough, so I had the companion color. It is as well 30% of wool, 70% of cotton. It's called bubblegum as well, and the color is 573, so it's very beautiful, like jeans gray blue. And in this bowl, it's slightly small, it's a 100 gram bowl, and it's 450 meters. So I used that one, and when I was run out of this mohair with lyrics, I bought this kind of thread. So it's a tout le monde en chinois. As I understand, it is fabriqué en France, so it's French thread. And actually what I'm thinking to do, because it doesn't look like big, right? So I was thinking to go to Loop on this weekend, and I would love to see other shades. So maybe they will have something brighter, maybe some bright pink. I would love to add this kind of metal thread to some of my socks, but I will talk about socks later on, okay? So, and this is all left with small palettes in. So this is kind of very, so I had 2 swatches in the beginning. Probably you're not interested in that because you saw my ready garment. So this is my finished object, and this sweater, and today I have photo shooting. That's why I have this makeup. Quite strange for me to have a makeup. Anyway. Then what I want to show you, socks I've done last week, because the socks before this pair I sent home to my husband, and I can't show you, but I will put right now a few photos. And these socks are amazing. I mean, socks are amazing, but yarn is amazing, and it goes very well with those mimos I have. Yesterday I've been to Shoreditch, and they had this Sunday flower market, and I can't resist. It's amazing. For me it's spring, hope, life, joy, everything that gives good feeling. So I have this bunch of amazing spring flowers here in my flat. So those socks done with the yarn by Shoppel Wolle. It is yarn called Vanderklax. The number, I left somewhere this tag. I will write it on a screen. I do recommend this yarn because it's amazing. You never know the tone of color or a shade you will get the next row. So let's talk about socks. So they are 60 grams, so I still have 40 grams left, and I do have a huge scrappy stash of my sock yarn, and I'm working with it. I will show you later in my processes, and I love it. It's really good. It's only one thing that bothered me when I did it, since the producing of this yarn quite interesting. So the company, they weave a huge, as understood, they weave kind of fabric of wool yarn, then they paint it with those spots, stripes, splashes of color, and then they reweave it. So the yarn in ball a bit curly, and when you knit it, if you knit loose, you will have it. So the fabric you're gonna have, it's gonna be a bit curly. If you weave quite tensionally, it's gonna be okay. So these socks, it's the size 38-39. I'm telling the size European because for me it's easier. In British sizes it's gonna be 6, right? 5.5, 6.5. So those are beautiful. I love it. I will mix the leftover of those socks, of this yarn. I will mix it with the bright yellow, and we'll do another pair of socks. So, and I brought those so you can compare with the kind of very known Shoppel yarn that called Crazy Ball. So this is Crazy Ball, how it looks, and this is Van de Klaps. You see, it is completely different type of yarn or type of painting yarn, because here in Crazy Ball you have kind of very delicate changing of color. The color here called camouflage. I love it. The same size actually, the same size, but a different type of heel. Here I have rounded heel, and here I have the heel called boomerang. So this is done socks. And when I said about scrappy leftovers of socks yarn, I have plenty of it. You see, because I do love knit socks, so I have this, the leftovers of camouflage, then I have the leftovers of Opal, the collection energy, I think, then I have a small wool of Fable of drops, and then I have there are a lot. So in December last year, it sounds amazingly heavy, but 2022, I've decided to kind of do something with these leftovers of beautiful small balls of sock yarn, and I've started to do socks from these leftovers. I called this kind of project, I called that Stripy December. And in December I did 2 pairs. I will add one of those on the screen right now, because they also left London to Ukraine. I sent it home to my husband because it's quite cold right now in flats and outside, and he needs warm socks. And the second pair I did in December is this one. So here I used 3 small balls of different yarn together just to finish those leftovers. So here some yarn of Merino, then I used the method called helix, when you mix 2 threads in each row. Then I used just simple round heel, then again helix, then just yarn, I think it was Opal, the collection memory, and here I did like that. So this the second pair, and right now it's kind of, I'm starting to talk about my processes, about my project that I'm doing right now. Let's finish with socks and then I will show you other stuff. So right now I have socks that hopefully this week I will finish. So this is the 3rd pair of socks I'm doing from my small leftovers, and I will add on a screen the socks I've done originally for my British family member Philippa. So this is the original socks, and then I had some leftovers and I mixed it with the yellow regia, and the pink one is Happy's Invicta. So it's kind of, when you use your scrappy sock yarn leftovers, you can play with colors, you can play with combinations. You can use one unicolor sock yarn with some gradient or some stripy, self-stripy yarn, and it's always fun, and you never know what you're gonna have in the end, right? So this is the socks in a process, and if it's gonna be not enough of this yarn, and this yarn is Drops Fable, I will add, if I'm gonna need it, I will add those mini. They are very funny, and it is a possibility if you buy those in box. it is a possibility to try all shades. So this is Happy's. I hope you see it. This is Happy's and the yarn called Metropolis. So this is typical sock yarn, 75% merino extra fine and 25 nylon. And once upon a time my husband gave it me as a gift for some holiday, so I had this box with 60, I think it's 60 shades of those small bombs of yarn, and I love them. And if it's gonna be not enough, the green one, I will just add the yellow or green, I don't know yet. And the bottom of socks, I will use this pink one. So this socks I'm working right now as well. Last year when I was going to London by train, I had plenty of time in train with a quite nice light daytime, and I started those socks. It is Shoppel, and when I bought this yarn it was so beautiful in a ball but when I started to knit I realized it's so dark and it's so difficult to knit it in evening when I have time for knit. So you can see I've started it in July or August, and look at the progress. So I think for this period of time when I'm working with these socks, I already did around 10 pairs. Anyway, I'm trying to finish it as soon as possible, but we'll see. So this is about socks. So I've decided to do in this way. I will knit this year one pair of socks from a new bowl, because it's fun, you know, to take a new bowl of sock yarn you never worked with and to see how it's gonna be working in object. And I will, in the second pair, I will do with this scrap yarn, and in this way I will finish this with this pack of leftovers, and I will still enjoy my knitting with new yarn. So this is about socks. Let's talk about other objects that I have on my needles. I have, since it's quite cold in my flat, as I said, I had this cake of Happy's yarn that called Whirl. I'm not very fond of acrylic yarn, I have to tell you, but I'm very fond of those colors. And I bought this yarn I think 2 years ago or something, when I just started to knit, and I bought this cake together with the 2 balls of Merino Soft, and actually they are companion. So even if you go on a website of Happy's, you will see that on prospect of this yarn will be close to it, and this one. So the collection of this cake called Art Woolly Whirl, and this is the color of Impressionism. I do see here irises of Van Gogh or the Pond of Manet. I do see that here, and this is the color 654 Bellini, this light pink lilac, and this color is Chagall, and the number is 455. So I had two of those and this cake 2 years ago, and when I moved here my husband sent me yarn trying to save our budget. So, and as well I was doing another sweater in actually 2 sweaters in testing group of Natali Aksyonova, I've told before, I will put the picture on. So this is leftovers of Rico design of first sweater I did in testing group, and this is leftovers of it's a silk mohair of Rico design of the second one I did in testing group. The photo is on the screen. So I had those leftovers of very expensive and nice yarn of, I think the best blend would be silk and mohair, and I had those that I didn't know what to do with. And because it's cold, oh, and also in the summertime when we've been visiting Kay, in a charity shop I bought 1.5 bowls. In a charity shop sometimes you can find some yarn, or not only stuff, people trying to sell like clothes or shoes or whatever, or some householding stuff. Sometimes people also give some yarn there, so I bought 1.5 bowls of also silk mohair for just £1 or something. It was so silly cheap, so I bought it, and I also will try to use it here. And here, I mean, when I say here, I'm talking about this beautiful shawl. It's huge already. It's 70 centimeters already by this straight part, and I don't need it from the corner, so it's this shawl that's gonna have diagonal lines, and I combine it in a stripes. And even though this yarn changed its color slightly from light lilac pink to this bright violet blue, because of the mohair that also changes its color, it's not so evident, and I think it's gonna be very warm. And I won't use it outside. I think I will use it as a kind of shawl blanket at home, because in evening it's quite chilly here, and I'm trying not to heat a lot. I don't like when it's warm, so it's better for me to have some warm clothes on me than the air gonna be dry and too warm. So I'm kind of winter person mostly. So this is the shawl I'm working right now, and it's very easygoing, very kind of unthinking and quite simple knitting. You just need all of the time the right stitches on each side, and that's it. You are not, and you do increases each second row, so it's nothing to think about. And if the day was long or heavy, or there are some news from homeland, and I'm worried all of the time, I need this shawl. So it's not something like I'm in rush with it. I do enjoy it, but it's very simple thing of knitting without thinking. When you watch some podcast or you listen some lecture. So this is my process shawl, and here as well I'm trying to use leftovers of mohair on silk and a new yarn, so kind of tricky way. And what else I'm doing just simple raglan from top to down. Already I put sleeves on a side thread, and I've started to work with body. I did a German short rows here to up the back side of the sweater, and I did quite a long collar. I love when it's long. I really sometimes do it too long, because when you do from top to bottom and you kind of did a normal size of collar that have to be held like twice, and then after blockage and after washing the thread shrinks and you have kind of small color, it's bother me. So this is yarn. Let me talk about this yarn with you. This is yarn on cone, and I have to tell you that in Ukraine many knitters are working with yarn on cones. First of all, I would say I suppose it's cheaper to use yarn on cones than use yarn in balls. First. The second, you kind of can buy very interesting yarn that you can't find in balls, because you buy yarn produced for some companies. So this is yarn that I have on cone. This producer is Pescifilati, Italian company, and this yarn was done for Gucci company. So it's a beautiful bluish green color. It's very hard to say is it dark green or it's dark blue. I see it's like teal, so it's a greenish blue with plenty of added threads. So it's spin yarn and I love it. It's so beautiful in the fabric, and you may see that it's a bit loose, so I'm working with the needles 3.5 and the fabric, it's a bit loose, so it would be not so loose, but when I did swatch, I washed it and it's shrinked a bit and the yarn bloomed up amazingly. So even here you can see, I'll try to. So this is the difference, you see. So the yarn blooms after washing. So that's why I'm doing this sweater, this raglan, I'm doing a bit bigger than my size. So right now on me it's quite loose, and I'm doing it with the needles 3.5 with understanding that yarn will bloom first. The second, it will be a bit shrinked, not felted, but like shrinked, and it's gonna be amazing. Like simple raglan with the 2-2 ribbon on top, on the collar and on sleeves. I will do not a lot, but with the each 10 rows repetition decreases on sleeves, quite high ribbon. So as you understand, it's my freestyle knitting. Sometimes I use patterns, sometimes I just knit what I like and how I see, and I do write it down, or I do some calculations, some construction work. I do love it. It's a kind of more artistic way of knitting, I would say. So this is my, I would say, main object for now, because I just finished this sweater the day before yesterday. I mean Lubava sweater, this one, and I blocked it, I washed it. The yarn also bloomed amazingly, and today I will do photos. And let's talk about my plans, shall we? So for plans for next month, for February, I'm planning to finish this sweater as well. I have the few whips I'd love to finish. I will show you. So plenty of stuff here. It's like, I would say, madness a bit. So before the war, I've started to do a gillette here with a high collar, but on my work it's quite cold in the Senate house, so I decided that it's better for me to have one more lava pesa Icelandic sweater. I will add a photo of one I did in the summertime. I do wear it a lot. I love it. It's light because of the yarn I used for this blue Lopa piece that you see on your screen. It's free pattern by Navita, and I used the same type of yarn. It's drop air. I love this yarn. It's so light. This yarn, despite I love it much, it has some minuses, and I'd love to tell them, because if someone have never worked with it, you have to keep in mind that this yarn, it's very elastic, it's very easy to move, to stretch, and if you work, they write here on the ball that you need 5mm needles, but I have to tell that the yarn, it's a bit spongy, so especially when you wear it like 2-3 days after washing, it starts to change the shape enormously. And my previous sweater I was doing on 4.5 the body, and all right, I will bring it. Wait a second, since we're talking about blends. So this is my Icelandic sweater by Navita. I will write on the screen the name of this sweater because it's in Finnish, and I know that it translated as morning bird. So the ribbons here I did at 4 needles, the body I did 4.5, the yoke I did on 5, and here I have I didn't do the German short rows. I did the Asian yoke kind of, and it's beautiful. I love it. It's so nice to wear. It's very light. It's very light for this size because it's a bit long and oversized, and I wear it with some leggings, and I love it. It's really kind of cool object. So I've decided to, in February, I will knit one more sweater like that with a high collar, but I'm not looking for easy ways, so I've started to design my own yoke. I want to use these traditional Ukrainian birds on the widest part of yoke, and here's gonna be another small ornaments, and all these elements probably I will do using my leftovers of I have, sorry, the mohair is everywhere, so I have leftovers of white yarn, of blue yarn, of turquoise, and I love to actually use, and I have 5 more balls of the mine color, so I think it's gonna be enough, but I'd rather use dark gray or black for the lining out those birds and for the smaller decoration elements, and I'd love to use something, of course I could use red, because red, black and white, the typical and traditional Ukrainian combination of colors that you can see easily in various options in embroidery, in traditional embroidery of Ukrainian skirts and shirts, but I want to do it a bit kind of under. I would love to do it not so direct, so you can kind of guess that it is Ukrainian. So I'm thinking about buying yep, I know, I'm thinking about buying a black bowl of this yarn and probably a sand shade or some brownish, like don't know yet. I have to see the palette of airdrops. So the yoke gonna be in really natural blended colors, and I think it's gonna be nice. So I'm working on design on a pattern, and I will do it in February. I know that probably I won't wear it till next season, but I think it is a possibility for me to use the whip, because kind of this color aside from last February, so almost a year, and it's not like I'm desperately in need of those needles, but it's nice to have finished object than something in a process. So this is my plan for the shoulder project. Probably I will do a cardigan. I'm thinking about buying the pattern of Petite Knit, not the last one she released recently with the, I think, English ribbon or pattern ribbon. I think I'd rather do something plain. I do love when it's plain, and because the ribbon thing, like brioche, yeah, it gives you more volume, and if you are petite as Petite Knit, it's nice, but when you kind of in body, it's gonna be make you even bigger and wider. So, and of course I am keen of doing as many scrappy socks as I can. So this is my plans. I'd love to welcome you again to my channel. I hope my English was not so bad. I hope you had a possibility to follow my thoughts, and I hope you like my finished garments, and I hope you like my processes, and I hope you will subscribe and follow me. If you liked my video, just put your thumb up, just make it visible, show me that you like this video. You are free and welcome to comment what do you like the most. Maybe you've got some questions about yarn or about combination or about how I knit socks or how's life in general. Just feel free. So greetings to all of you guys. See you next time. I'm planning to do English my podcasts each month. If you'd love to see me more often, like twice a month, just feel free to write it down as well, and I will try to do that, because I don't need a lot, and it's always something on my needles, and I'm gonna be glad to share it with you in English as well. So see you on my channel. Goodbye, and be safe, feel good, and be open-minded. Bye-bye.